All right, hello everyone. We hope you're all well. Hello, and we hope everybody's well. Okay, great. You guys are looking good. So you guys tell me where we left off last week. Okay, you guys remember where we left off? Because I have no clue. I have an approximate page. Okay, because I'm teaching this so many times a week. I forgot where we left off. I did put a bookmark. Okay, so yes.
I think for this class, we're going to read 513 in the Kabbalah for the student.
513. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Yeah? Okay, good. So you guys need to keep track of what we're doing. All right, where we left off, what we're studying, what we're doing. So forward to the preface to the Wisdom of Kabbalah, page 513, from the paragraph Take for Example. Okay? Let's go actually a few paragraphs before, because otherwise we won't understand what that example is all about. Did you guys all prepare before the lesson, or did you guys just have a little chit chat? Yeah, because I heard chit chat on Zoom. Yeah, okay, so I didn't hear preparation. Okay, okay, so let's prepare. Let's read something together. Okay, so let's let's read from Rabash, Purpose of Society, on page 9, so we remember why we're here for. Okay, Purpose of Society 1, article number 1, part 1, 1984. We've gathered here to establish a society for all who wish to follow the path and method of Bava Sulam, the way by which to climb the degrees of man and not remain as a beast, as our sages said about the verse, and you, my sheep, the sheep of my pasture, are men. And Rashbi said that you are called men, and idol worshippers are not called men. All right, so let's take this opportunity to be like those sheep in the pastures of the Creator, so we can get some light. Okay, this is our pasture, right? So, like sheep in good pastures, they graze. The books of the Kabbalists are our pastures. So, in the books, we have to find some food and liveliness for our souls. Okay, so let's start. Let's start from page 511. It's called Simsum Aleph, Masach, and Partsuf. Okay, this is very important. We need to understand this concept, what a restriction is, what the soul is, what a Masach is. Because what are the Kabbalists telling us in these books? They're saying, listen, we're desired to receive, and this desire to receive is only a sensation of fulfillment or emptiness. However, we can use this desire to receive, and if we can give it a different functionality, what we can do is actually feel the Creator with this desire to receive. So the concept of the first restriction, the Partsuf and the Masach, is the Creator's first formation of how a desire can start to bestow and really turn into a vessel where he has, the vessel has a relationship with the Creator, okay, one-on-one. So that's what a Partsuf is. So let's read that bit, go over it again, because it's very important. The 4 phases of direct light, I'm not going to go into, because you guys know about it already, okay? But after that phase, okay, after the 4 phases of direct light, where the Creator, from the thought of creation, decided to create a created being and fulfill it with pleasure, developed it in 4 phases. Phase root, 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? And in those 4 phases, afterwards, the real creature, Malchut, the 4th phase, was created. And then after that, we have the situation of the first restriction, okay? And after that, we've got Masach and Partsuf. So let's see what those are. Are you guys all okay with the 4 phases of direct light? Yeah, okay, that's okay. All right, good. Everything in nature, everything is creation is hidden in the 4 phases of direct light. So if you get your head around that, you can go back to that structure all the time to kind of depict things that are happening. So Tzimtzum Aleph, Masach, and Partsuf is the phase that comes after the 4 phases of direct light. So when Or Chochmah fills the will to receive in Bechina Aleph, it gives the will to receive its nature, the desire to bestow. This is the reason why, at its end, Bechina Aleph, after she felt the nature of the light that fills her, changed her desire from wanting to receive to wanting to bestow. Once Bechina Dalet departed Bechina Gimel and was filled with her light, which is Or Chochmah too, the light affected her in such a way that she began to want to bestow, similar to the nature of the light within her. Hence the will to receive disappeared from Bechina Dalet. But why does the Or Chochmah give the Kli a desire to bestow when it fills it? This is so because the Kli feels not only the pleasure from the light, but the desire of the giver too. The Creator could have created a Kli that would not feel him as the giver, but only the pleasure of reception. In our world, this is what people feel when their will to receive is still undeveloped, like that of children, crude people, or the mentally unwell. As a child grows, it becomes ashamed of receiving. In man, this sensation is so developed that one would prefer any pain in the world to the suffering of shame. The Creator created this quality in us deliberately, so that through it we would be able to rise above our nature, the will to receive. To be ashamed and suffer from receiving, one must feel that one is receiving. This is possible only if you feel the giver, that there is a giver. If I cannot feel the host, I will not be ashamed. But if the host is in front of me, I will be ashamed. I cannot receive directly because I will have to relate to him. I will feel that I must give something in return for receiving from him. In that case, I will no longer be receiving, but I would change places with him and become a giver, since then he too would be receiving from me. The sensation of the Creator evokes such great suffering from reception in Malchut, it decides to never use her will to receive for reception of pleasures for herself. This decision in Malchut to not receive light for herself is called Tzimtzum, restriction. The name Tzimtzum Aleph, first restriction, indicates that this operation occurred for the first time. Alright, so after the fourth phase of direct light, this is Malchut, the fourth phase. Okay, this is the third phase, Zeir Anpin. Second phase, Bina. The first phase, Chochmah. And this is Shoresh, okay, root, which is Keter. Okay, so after this state, Malchut feels so much shame, he does the first restriction. Does not receive any light whatsoever. Okay, first restriction, that's it. Okay, so let's see what it's talking about. And it does it because it feels shame. Okay, so for us to feel shame, what do we need to do? We need to feel that somebody is really giving to us and we feel really low. Okay, and for this thing to happen in spirituality, we need to feel the Creator and we need to feel how opposite we are. Otherwise, how we're going to get there? Because in our nature, if the Creator came out and said, hey, listen, do you want to get something? We'd say, sure, give it to us. Okay, no problem. Let's take everything you've got. Okay. However, in this concept of the created being, the relationship between the desire to receive and the Creator is also giving the desire to receive the form of the Creator. So because if we don't have any bestowal inside of us, our relationship with the Creator would be like sucking his blood all the time. This is why he's concealed, so he doesn't show himself. But if we also felt what it's like to bestow, if we felt what his relationship towards us, how he's relating to us, how he loves us, how he wants to bestow to us, what bestowal is, if we felt those things, qualities inside of us, then we'd feel shame from receiving. Therefore, this first restriction is a state where there's a complete understanding of both reception and bestowal. Okay, and the difference between the created being and the creature. This is why it's done. That's the first restriction. This Malkut stopped receiving light. By that she stopped being a receiver, but she was still not giving anything to the Creator. She still did not fulfill her wish to become like the light, the giver of pleasure. By not receiving pleasure from the Creator, Malkut did not obtain equivalence of form. Hence we see that the act of Tzimtzum Aleph was not a goal, but a means to acquire the ability to give. Okay? So the first thing Tzimtzum Aleph is, we're not receiving any light. So we're completely empty here. And this is the first restriction. We're completely empty. But the act is done, according to what the Rav is writing here, the act is done because we want to move from receiving to bestowing. So he's saying, listen, the first thing you need to do is to put a restriction on if you want to bestow. Okay? So it's saying you got to stop receiving, in other words. Okay? That's what he's saying. By not receiving pleasure from the Creator, Malkut did not obtain equivalence of form. Hence we see that the act of Tzimtzum Aleph was not a goal, but a means to acquire the ability to give. The Creator's purpose in creation was for Malkut, the created being, to receive pleasures. The thought of creation is constant and absolute. Hence the Creator, the light, continued to pressure Malkut to receive it, which is this here. Alright, so even though we put a screen on and say we're not receiving anything, the Creator doesn't care. He wants to give. Okay, it's like a mom, it's like a Polish mom. You know, they say a Polish mom is constantly feeding the kid. Okay, just take, constantly feeding the baby. So the Creator is like that too. He constantly wants to give it to us. So he's saying here, hence the Creator, the light, continued to pressure Malkut. So the Creator is putting pressure on Malkut to receive it. Malkut sensed that the act of restriction was insufficient to achieve the act of bestowal. Yet, how could the creature, whose only quality is to receive, give to the Creator as he does? What happens here is, the Creator wants to bestow, but I'm not receiving anything. Then I come to an understanding. See how all these phases work. Remember, even though I'm not receiving from the Creator, there's still a relationship here. Okay, I feel He wants to give me, He wants to bestow, He wants to love me. So from that I have an understanding that if we don't do this act of this transaction of give and take, we're never going to come to the purpose of creation. So even when I restrict myself, completely dissect myself from this relationship and keep the Creator away from me, I have an understanding of how things need to develop and how from the current state I'm in, I can't come to the purpose of creation. So all these phases give a person a lot of understanding about what his state is, the states that he went through, and how all that accumulation of the past actions done upon him must now bring him to a new action, to a new event. By sensing the qualities of the upper nine within her, the qualities of the Creator that she feels within, which to her, from the Creator's attitude towards her, Malkut, begins to understand how she can come to bestow upon the Creator. Okay? This happens because we went through this phase, didn't we? We went through the 4 phases of direct light. So, the upper 9, let's do this. I wonder if we can, let's do this. The upper 9 here, okay, this whole process, oh, that's too dark. This whole process that we went through here, okay, inside of us is building also Sephirot. Why? Because as we're building this relationship from the thought of creation until the 4th phase of Malkut, we're constantly kind of in this give and take relationship with the Creator where His actions on us are felt in specific ways. This is why we're going through these phases here. Alright, so the Creator is first giving to us. He wants to fulfill us up with light. Great. Then what we do after that is have a desire to reciprocate. We want to give back. So all these phases that we're going through are developing inside of us new capacities, new abilities, so that we can build this relationship. Same with the third phase. Now, in the third phase, I have to see what I can give as a desire to receive. So I'm receiving in order to give, because I'm just a desire to receive. So all these phases are building inside of us the 9 Sefirot, the upper 9, as they say, which is, okay, this Keter, Chochmah, Bina. Why am I doing it like this? Okay, so all of these 9 Sefirot, Keter, Chochmah, Bina, and Zerampin are being built inside me as well. Okay, it's like somebody's relationship with you, right? You understand how they're relating to you by their actions, and then you can understand their personality or their character. So by going through this relationship with the Creator, Malkut starts to understand the Creator's personality, his character, what he's about. Just like we define our friends in life. Okay? What else does he put here? So, she decides that if she being Malkut, okay, Malkut is a she. Alright, so sometimes they'll say she, that's Malkut. She decides that if she receives the light and enjoys it only because the Creator enjoys the delight in it, her reception would be tantamount to bestowal. Reception of pleasure by the receiver in order to benefit the giver turns an act of reception into one of bestowal. Thus, if Malkut receives all the light that the Creator has prepared for her, she would be giving to him just as he is giving to her. Take, for example, a visiting guest. Okay, this is an important example by Baal Sulam, so open up your antennas. Take, for example, a visiting guest. The host treats the guest with food precisely in the amount and flavor that the guest wishes. Let me read that again. The host treats the guest with food precisely in the amount and flavor that the guest wishes it. The desire is in perfect match with the light in flavor and quantity, since the light pleasure created the Kli desire in accordance with itself. Okay, so the Creator knows exactly what we like. So think of going over to your mum's for dinner. Okay, she knows you better than you know yourself. So she knows what you like, what you don't like, everything about you. Okay, so she just says, listen, shut up and eat. Okay, because she knows what you like. Okay, so the Creator is the same with us. He knows all of us up to the last detail, and He prepared everything exactly how we would like it. Because why? The light has to match the Kli. Okay, otherwise it wouldn't be called perfection. So the light must match the Kli. Yet even though the guest is hungry, the presence of the host creates shame in him, which stops him from receiving. The shame stems from the sensation of himself as a receiver and the host as a giver. And the shame is so powerful that he can no longer receive. So this is something we need to develop. Okay, shame. Yet the host's imploring of him to eat, since he has prepared everything for him, persuades the guest that the host would enjoy his eating. Then it seems to the guest that if he were to receive the pleasure after having rejected it several times, this reception would be regarded as him giving and benefiting the host. Thus the guest would become a giver, and the host would become the receiver. Okay, we're clear with this, right? We're clear with this example. Somebody, you go, let's say you go to a new friend's house. Let's say you go to a party with your friend. Okay, a dinner party with your friend. You don't know the host, but your friend does, but you don't. So you're a little shy, and they've done all this preparation for the dinner party, and you feel a little off. Okay, you feel like because you're going with your friend, you're like gate crashing a little bit. Okay, so you're a little embarrassed, a little bit of shame is there, and so on. But they made plenty of food. Okay, and it's all there, and they welcome you. They don't mind that you know they don't know you or anything. They don't mind. They welcome you as if they're a friend, and they say, "Oh, come on, join us, eat, please, take whatever you like," and so on. And you're feeling a little uncomfortable. Okay, but then the host comes and say, "Listen, don't feel shy. Come on, I don't know, you're the creator's friend. You know, come on, we love you. Join us in." So they start, giving you all this kind of pressure, nice little pressure on the side, and then you feel comfortable, and then you're receiving, but that reception is making the host feel better. All right? So you kind of swapped places. All right? In Kabbalah, the hunger, the desire to receive delight and pleasure is called a vessel. The pleasure that comes from the Creator is called Or Yashar, direct light. The force that repels the pleasure that comes from the Creator is called the Masach. Okay, so we need to start learning some technical stuff. So this is the vessel. Okay, let me actually... There we go. So what happened? This is what happens after the first restriction. All right. So the Creator wants to still bestow to us, and His light of bestowal is called Or Yashar. And the vessel, okay, the vessel that wants to receive the light is called a Kli. So this is a Kli, okay, or a vessel. There we go. What else has he got here? So using the pleasure that comes from the Creator is called Or Yashar. The force that repels the pleasure that comes from the Creator is called a Masah. So the Creator wants to bestow, but I want to refrain from receiving. So I put a screen on. Oops. So I put a screen on top of the vessel, and that screen is called a Masah. Okay. If we can make it a little thicker, I think. And that's a Masah. Okay. The light repelled from the Masah is called Or Hoser, reflected light. So what the Creator wants to give me, I'm repelling back. I'm not receiving anything. And that's called the returning light, which is Or Hoser. Okay. So we need to know these little technical terms here. We can understand that the Kli rejects the light, but it is true to say that the Kli rejects using the desire to enjoy for itself. Okay, this is a sharp little distinction here. I'm not refusing the light because I want to get pleasure. Okay, I'm not refusing because of that. I'm refusing because my intention is to receive for myself. That's why I'm restricting the light. Not because I don't want the pleasure. It's because I don't want the pleasure in an egoistic way. I don't want the pleasure to be more important than the relationship that I have with the Creator. All right, you guys with me on that? Yeah? So the present, I'm getting present from somebody. The present is less important than the person giving it the present to me. So the Kli cannot return light to the Creator. It can only change its intention. The aim created in the Kli to delight the Creator is called Or Hoser. Okay, so let's read that. The aim, okay, so the light that returns is the aim created in the Kli to delight the Creator is called Or Hoser. So Or Hoser, the reflected light, is my aim, it's my goal, it's my intention. Alright? It's my aim to give pleasure to the Creator. So write it down. Or Choser is just not light bouncing off my screen. It's my aim to give the pleasure. It's my aim to give the Creator pleasure. Okay? Aim to bestow to the Creator. To bestow to the Creator. Okay. Logical? Logical. Why? Because Or Yashar is the Creator's desire to bestow to me. So Or Choser is only, what can it be? It could be my desire to bestow to the Creator. Okay. So as you can see, all these things, when we're talking about lights, it's not airy-fairy stuff. It's very technical. It's very tangible. Okay. A lot of people, when they study TAS, they don't understand the concepts in the beginning. Think this is all airy-fairy because we're talking about lights and stuff, but we're talking about relationship here. So as you get into spirituality, all this stuff becomes very emotional. Okay, because what's it talking about here? The Creator's relationship to me, and now how I can return that relationship. So all of those are felt where? In the emotion. So the book is a very emotional book to the person who can relate to the emotion. Alright, so once the Kli is certain that it will not receive for itself, it examines the intensity of its Or Choser and decides to receive the abundance that comes by it from the Or Yashar, but only as much as it can receive in order to delight the Creator. Okay, so what we need to do afterwards is to have an evaluation phase. Okay, so the Creator, let's see what it says here. Once the Kli is certain that it will not receive for itself. So I need to be sure that my relationship with the Creator is more important than the pleasure I'm getting. So that's the analysis I'm making. Okay, and it examines the intensity of the Or Choser. How much do I care about the Creator instead of the pleasure? Right? So I'm really weighing my emotions. It's like weighing how much do you love someone. You know, when we have kids, we say, I love you this much. Okay, because we don't have really any other expression to show the kids, right? So I love you this much. So this is what we're doing in spirituality. How much do I care about the Creator with respect to what He's giving to me right now? How much do I love the gift? And how much do I love the Creator? So how can I take? How much can I take? So these are all emotional stuff. What else have we got here? And then it says, and decides to receive the abundance that comes by the Creator from the Or Yashar, but only as much as it can receive in order to delight the Creator. Kabbalists are people who feel the light emitted from the Creator and all its actions. But when they write about spirituality, they convey their sensations in a language of technical terms and definitions. Hence, only if the reader has a masach and the forces that the books speak of, can one translate the words into feelings by performing the same actions he reads about within himself. The light comes directly from the Creator and wishes to clothe within the Kli, yet it encounters the Masach. The Masach repels the light, refuses to receive in order to receive, thus keeping the condition of Tzimtzum Aleph, to not receive for oneself. Once the Kli is certain that it will not receive for itself, it calculates how much it can receive in order to bestow. The sensation in the light and the decision how much to receive is done prior to receiving it. For this reason, this part in the Kli is called Rosh. The place of calculation where the Masach stands is called Peh, mouth. Okay. This is where the masach stands at the peh. Alright, let's do this in green. Where the masach is, it's called peh. Okay? And where I calculate is called the rosh. So where's the rosh? Once the kli is certain that it will not receive for itself, it calculates how much it can receive in order to bestow. The sensation in the light and the decision how much to receive is done prior to receiving it. For this reason, this part in the kli is called rosh, the place of calculation, and where the masach stands is called peh. Following the decision in the rosh, so the rosh needs to be, okay, in this sensation here. So where I have the creator wanting to bestow to me, right? Actually, it'll be on top of there. So that's my rosh. This is the masach, okay? And this is going to be the rosh. Rosh. Rosh is the head where we calculate, just like in this world, okay? Peh is the mouth, okay? Now, it means the mouth, but obviously it's not talking about our body, right? You guys need to understand by now, Kabbalah has nothing to do with our flesh and meat, but what did we learn in the previous semesters? Root and branch. Everything that's in this world comes from spirituality. So the spiritual worlds are reflected in this world. So the rosh is where we calculate. That's the rosh of the partzuf. It's our head where we make a calculation. And the screen is where the mouth is, peh. What else is talking about here? And okay, so the sensation in the light and the decision how much to receive is done prior to receiving it. For this reason, this part in the kli is called rosh. The place of calculation where the masach stands is called peh. So this is where I'm calculating. Okay, so this zone where the screen is and the peh is my rosh, before, like on top of the screen, on top of the desire to receive. Let's make it a little clearer as well. Okay, that's my desire to receive, and on top of that is the screen. And where I'm making the calculation is called peh. Where I'm making the calculation is rosh, and the screen stands on the peh. Then what happens? Or chokhmah, the pleasure is received with the aim to delight the Creator in this manner. This aim is called or chasadim, light of mercy. So my intention to bestow is called or chasadim. Okay, or chasadim. I'll write it down. Let's write it down. Or chasadim, light of mercy. So it's now giving us definitions for the pleasure we're receiving from actions, right? So chokhmah is the pleasure I'm receiving, when I'm feeling the light, when I'm feeling the fulfillment, it's called or chokhmah. When I'm feeling the fulfillment from bestowing, that's called or chasadim. Okay? So there are times when you say, oh, I love giving, and there are times when you say, oh, I love receiving. So pleasure from reception, chokhmah, pleasure from bestowal is chasadim. In the language of Kabbalah, or yashar dresses in or chozer, and or chokhmah dresses in or chasadim. So what does that mean? It means that we're reciprocating the action of the Creator. Okay, or yashar. This is or yashar. What do we have here? Okay, so this is or yashar. The Creator's bestowal to me. Okay, He wants to bestow to me pleasure. and I'm clothing it because I want to reciprocate giving the pleasure back to him. Okay? So this is his bestowal. This is my bestowal. Okay? So what is it saying here? Or chokhmah, the pleasure, is received with the aim to delight the Creator in this manner. This aim is called Or Chasadim. In the language of Kabbalah, Or Yashar dresses in Or Choser, and Or Chokhmah dresses in Or Chasadim. So the light from reception inside the Kli okay, this Or Chokhmah when its bestowal is dressed as Or Chasadim. Okay, so it's just defining the actions. All right? All good? So Or Chokhmah is the sensation I'm getting from the action that the Creator is doing on me when He's bestowing. Okay? And the Or Chasadim is the pleasure I'm getting when I'm reciprocating the action of bestowal with Or Choser. Yes? Sounds a little complicated? It's not really. It's not. If it's not understood, let me know, but it's very simple. Okay, somebody loves me and they're giving me something, and I received what they gave me, and I felt Or Chokhmah, because I felt the pleasure. Okay, let's say I love chocolate. Well, let's not say I love chocolate, because I do love chocolate. So you guys bought me a really nice chocolate. I took it. I ate it. I felt pleasure. That's Or Chokhmah. I feel pleasure from it. Okay? But in addition to that, okay, so, and that's your Or Yashar. Okay? Your desire to give me pleasure is Or Yashar. So your desire to give me the chocolate, this filling, is called Or Yashar. And I'm receiving that, and I'm loving the chocolate, and I'm feeling really good. That's Or Chokhmah in me. Okay? Now, I'm adding something else. I'm saying I'm going to take this chocolate and I'm going to eat it because you guys want to give it to me to make me happy, and not that I really care about the chocolate. Okay, it's nice, I love chocolate, but I'm only going to eat it because I care about you guys and that you went to the trouble to think about me, to buy it, to bring it, and so on. So I'm only going to take that chocolate because I want to make you guys feel good. And the pleasure I'm getting from making you feel good from receiving your present is called Hasadim. The pleasure I'm getting from reciprocating the bestowal. All right? It's easy, right? Pleasure from bestowing is Hasadim. Okay? Pleasure from getting what you want is Chokhmah. All right, how's that? It's not going to get any easier than that definition. So I suggest you, I don't know, make a little note on your forehead. Okay, remember it when you look in the mirror.
I got a few questions before we go too far.
Go on then.
One was from Barbara, and she asked about the illustration that you drew.
Yeah.
In the beginning, next to Malchut, you had wrote she. She wants to know, why is Malchut called she?
Because in Hebrew there's she and he. It's like French, le, la. Okay, so in Hebrew it's he, who, she, he. Okay, so all objects are male or female, just like in French as well, right? It's just to make life complicated, as if it wasn't complicated enough. All right, so Malkut is a desire to receive, and reception, desire to receive, in this world is represented as a female, as a woman. All right, if you guys are married, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so this is the situation. It's a depiction. So they called Malchut a she, okay, because she has desires. She wants things, okay, which is very good, because this is how, because without a desire, we can't move forward. So a desire needs to happen, and because a desire is a lack, a desire to receive in this world is depicted as the women's side of creation. It's called a she. Okay, and the bestower is known as the creator. So the creator is known as he, as the bestowing force, and creation is known, the desire to receive is known as a she. If you want to make things all fair and square, all of us are in female format if we're in a desire to receive. Okay? Guys, don't feel so bad, but I think the women like the idea. All right? Just think about it. So it's talking about the desire to receive. That's all. And if a person is in a desire to receive, he or she is called a she in spirituality. But if a woman or a man is in a state of bestowal, then that person is called a he, even if it's a she. Okay? It's just, you get it? It's just plus or minus, okay? Let's keep it simple. Okay, you guys are wearing me out today. All right, what else?
One more. So Hartwig says, are the calculations, are they done with our logical brain, or is it an emotional calculation?
It's a nice question. Everything is measured in emotions in spirituality. So what happens in spirituality is you receive an emotional mind. Okay, here we calculate according to what? Value that we give it, like money. Right? We say this is worth this much, this is worth this much, or I say this is worth this much of my time. Okay, I measure according to time, money, effort, and I compare it to other things that I value, and so on. In spirituality, it's an emotional thing, because then you have to measure the fulfillment, how much pleasure you're getting from that fulfillment, and then you have to measure how much importance that person has who's giving the pleasure. So it needs to be an emotion. It's called an emotional intelligence. It's called emotional intelligence, actually. Actually, there's a thing about it in science as well. Emotional intelligence. All right? So that's how it is. Obviously, emotional intelligence as defined here in our world is not the same. Because why? Because we don't have an emotion for bestowing at the moment. All right? But, let's just say it's a close, in explanatory terms, it's close enough. Any other questions there?
That was the last two.
All right.
Just those two.
So let's move forward. If we're all clear with that, I think even now that I've put it this way, it's now clear even to me. Okay. All right. So the Kli can receive only a small portion of the light that comes from the Creator, since the Masach hasn't the power to receive all the light. Thus, a part of the desire in it is filled. Thus a part in it is filled, and a part remains empty. The part that remains empty is called Sof, the end, or the conclusion. So this is what happens. The vessel can only receive a little bit of the light, and that little bit is, let's say, up to here. So in the book it says, the part that remains empty is called the Sof. Okay, so this part is empty. It remains empty because he doesn't have the right intention to bestow at these desires. These are really strong desires. So this part is called the Sof. Okay, the end. We therefore see that the creature consists of three parts: the Rosh, the Toch, and the Sof. Okay, that's us. Together they're called a part Suf. So this whole structure is called a part Suf. Okay, all of this structure is called a Partzuf. Okay, that's fair enough. The guf of the Partzuf divides into toch, the receiving part, and sof, which remains empty. So the part that receives, this toch and sof, this part here, is called the guf of the Partzuf. Okay, guf means body. So all its desires. So the body is obviously, we're not talking about fish fleur, we're not talking about flesh and meat, not fish. Okay, so we're not talking about flesh and meat here, bones. We're talking about all of our desires. So all of our desires equals the body, and they call it a guf. All right, that sounds easy enough. So you got all the definitions down. The toch is the part that can receive light, because I can bestow with those desires. And the sof are real desires that I need extra force, extra masah for them. I don't have an intention to bestow on those desires, so I don't receive the light in those desires. So I'm already divided into two with these states. And how do I know what I can receive and what I can't receive? Well, because we went through the 4 phases of direct light, didn't we? Okay? We already felt all the pleasures that the Creator could give us in the 4 phases, didn't we? That's the whole idea. And then, after seeing what I could receive from the Creator in everything, then we did the restriction. And now we're moving on to a new phase, thinking, okay, how much can I take from the Creator in order to bestow? Well, how do I know that? Well, I know that because I went through the 4 phases. So I can say to myself, I can take from the Creator this, which I received before, and those I don't have a drama with bestowing. But then there are some heavy desires in me. They're like really, really coarse and egoistic. Well, I don't want to touch those. They make me feel bad. Okay, because I feel like I'm receiving and I feel shame, and that makes me feel bad. Just think about it here. The created being is putting that restriction on because he feels bad. Shame is a bad feeling. Okay? So we need to understand here the intricacies behind the sensation of not receiving from the Creator. He's not feeling bad because he's a receiver or anything. He's feeling bad because of the shame that it's inflicting in him. Okay? So the restriction is like a state where my feelings are more important than the Creator. All right? There's pride, there's honor, those kinds of sensations and feelings that are also very egoistic, and they want to cut the Creator off. Okay? So the boundary in the guf of the Partzuf, where the reception of light ends, is called tabur. So this part here, where the reception of the light in the guf ends, is called tabur. Okay, tabur means navel. So your belly button, where your belly button is called tabur. The part of the light received within the Partzuf is called or pnimi. So this light that I've received here is also called or pnimi. Okay, pnimi means inner light. So what I've received inside me is called or pnimi. The part of the light that remains outside the kli is called or makif. Now remember, the Creator, the vessel and the light match each other, right? So the Creator created it in exactly the same way. Remember the dinner example I gave you when you go to your mum? She knows exactly what you like, how hungry you are, how much you can eat and so on. So she made the perfect dishes. So all the food she prepared matches exactly your vessel. Okay? The Creator same way. The Creator created us as a desire to receive pleasure. He knows exactly how much we can take in there. Exactly what we get pleasure from. So, because that's the situation, He's willing to give everything But because we made a restriction saying, listen, I'm not taking everything because it makes me feel bad, because I feel shameful, I feel shame about it, and I'm not receiving everything. So the light that I was supposed to receive, I was supposed to receive here as well, but I didn't because it's empty, remains outside as or makif, surrounding light. So this portion of the light, which I haven't received, but I was supposed to, the Creator wants to give me, remains on the outside as, I don't know where to put it. Let's just put it around here. It's on the outside of the Kli that the Creator wants to give me, but I can't take yet. Okay? That's called or makif, the surrounding light. Okay? Through the Masach, the Or Yashar divides into Or Pnimi and Or Makif. So, through this Or Yashar, the straight light that the Creator is giving us, this here, some of it becomes Or Pnimi, and the other becomes, the remaining becomes Or Makif. Okay? Oops, Or Makif. What remains on the outside becomes Or Makif. The rest of the light. Okay, is that all clear? All the terms down? Anybody has any questions on this setup? Because this is the basic foundation and the definitions and the technical terms of of our structure. So if we guys are all clear with this, we can move on. If not, we need to clarify everything.
Hartwig.
Okay, go for it.
So my question is this. I just want to see, could you ask those guys just to put up the picture there?
Okay, so let's put up the picture here. Yeah.
So my question is this. If Or Hoser is the aim to bestow to the Creator,
Yeah.
if that becomes more, isn't there less going down as Or Hochma? I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it's a valid question. Yeah. Okay. It's good. It's good. So
in other words, reception.
yeah. Or Hoser, basically, the more of the okay. What does that mean? What does Or Hoser mean? It means more of the intention I have in order to bestow. Okay. So the more intention I have in order to bestow to the Creator, I can receive more inside my vessel. Okay. So if my screen is not big, if I have a small intention to bestow, how do I describe the screen? If the will to resist let's call the will to resist is the screen. Okay, how much I can reject something. Okay, that's called my screen. If I have a strong screen, a powerful one, then I can resist big pleasures. If I can resist big pleasures, and then I can use that strength to bestow, then I can receive more. Okay? Then I can receive more in order to bestow. But if I have a weak masach, if I'm tempted easily by pleasures, then I have a weak screen, and my Or Choser is obviously going to be weaker, isn't it? It's going to be less. Yeah? Let's say I can resist stealing $5. Okay, so I saw $5 on the table, it's not mine. I can say, you know what, I'm not going to go into the trouble of that. But if I saw $1 million on the table, okay, it's a big sum, then I might not have the screen to resist that. Okay, especially if nobody's looking.
Wait a minute, what about me? You gotta cut me in too, man.
Don't be so egoistic. Okay. Do you know what I mean? So the screen is the strength of resistance, the strength that I can be against any temptation. Okay, so the stronger the masach, the more I can bestow. The more I can bestow, the more Or Choser. But if there's more Or Choser, then I can receive more. There's more Or Pnimi as well. Did you get it? It's like kids growing. As we grow more, we can take more. Why? Because we've grown up, we're stronger, we're more capable, and so on. Does that make sense? Yeah, Hartwig, you got to give me a sign if it makes sense or not. All right.
We got a few more questions here, and I think with the lights is where we're getting most of our questions here. I've got Parazzi asking. Parazzi's asking, what is the difference between the Or Makif and the Or of Hasidim? And then I have Jose asking the difference between Or Yashar and Or Hokmah. So I think the lights are getting the definitions of the lights.
Let's write it down here. Or Yashar. Okay, let's do this. Let's be pragmatic, right? Or Yashar. The Creator's will to bestow to me. He wants to bestow, and this is his action of bestowing to me. Or Yashar. The Creator's bestowal. Creator's act of love, which is bestowal. Okay, which equals bestowal. He wants to give me pleasure. Okay, that's it. That's what Or Yashar is. Direct light. So Or Chochmah is equals the pleasure, the fulfillment, let's say, the fulfillment I receive. Okay? That's Or Chochmah. Now then, Or Chochmah. Let's write it like this. Or Choser, because my aim to bestow. Just like he wants to bestow, it's called Or Yashar. I want to bestow, it's called Or Choser. My aim to bestow. And Or Chasadim, okay, Or Chasadim equals the pleasure I get from bestowing. The pleasure I get from bestowing back, or from bestowing. Okay? That's all. Is there any other light? Or Makif? Or Makif is the pleasure that remains available to me, but I'm not getting it. Okay? Or makif. That's what or makif is. The light or the pleasure, it's the same thing. Okay? The pleasure that is available to receive. And if I had the screen for them, I would get those lights. Okay, but I don't have the screen for them, so I say, I'm not taking it. What else? Is there any other light?
Oh.
That's all done? Everybody's crystal clear?
Well, we've got a few more that are somewhat in relation to.
All right.
I'd say...
How come Parazzi isn't on Zoom?
Oh, Parazzi's here. He was the one who asked about the Or Makif.
Okay.
Parazzi's got a little jet lag. He's been traveling a lot.
Okay.
Adi is asking, what is the difference between the masak and the restriction?
The masach and the restriction is the action. Okay? The restriction is the action. The masach is the place where the masach and the restriction is the action of not receiving. The masach is the strength of that action, we can say. Okay? So, restriction is an act where I'm not receiving. But the masach determines, according to the calculation in the Rosh, how much I'm taking. It's like, that's why it's at the peh, right? It's at the mouth. So, I want to eat, all right? But I don't want to overdo it. Let's say I'm on a diet. Okay? So I have the act of restricting according to the strength of how much I can reject that good taste and eat a little bit. Does that make sense? Okay, because I have an act of doing something, and then there's the strength behind the action. That's the difference. This is why masach is pursuant to the calculation I'm making in the Rosh. Okay? So I have to calculate how much to receive according to how much the strength of my resistance is to that desire. All right? So there's the action and there's the strength of the action. That's what it is. That's why masach is known as the kashiyut. It's called the hardness of the screen. Yes, Hartwig.
And this calculation, I'll be thinking about how I'm feeling, and that's how I'm calculating. I'm just trying to understand how I would be calculating. Is it I'm saying, okay, I'm feeling bad, that's my calculation, is that? It still feels a bit logical to me though.
Well, in our desire to receive, okay, we're always calculating in two forms, whether it makes me happy or not. Okay? So the calculation in our world is according to two sensations. How much pleasure I'm getting with respect to the deficit. This is how our logic works. But in spirituality, it's a different state. Then I have to calculate according to how much I can bestow, not receive. Okay, so the first thing I'm thinking about, okay, I can get this from the Creator. He wants to give, it's not a problem. But how much of it is really in order to bestow? How much of it can I really receive without bringing damage to our relationship? What does that mean? it means I don't want to give the pleasure more importance than my relationship with the Creator. Okay? I don't want our friendship to be, what they call it? Friends with benefits. That's it. Okay? We don't want that kind of relationship. What we want is a true friendship with the Creator. So it doesn't matter what I'm getting from Him. I always want to make sure that my connection with Him is more important, is greater in importance.
And Adrian is asking, he says, why two names for the same action? Or Hokmah and or Panimi.
Or Pnimi is the light. It's because it's of the measurements. Okay, there's actually one light. At the end of the day, there's just one light. Okay, because if we go back to the basics, what do we have? We have the light of the Creator plus the vessel. Okay, if we go back to if we go back to our initial. Okay, the Creator, and that's it. This is the situation. Okay, so there's really one light. The Creator and the vessel, and the relation and the fulfillment between them in their relationship. Okay, so this is the Creator, this is me, and all of the fulfillment that we're getting in the vessel. Okay, that's the fulfillment, and all of that is just one light. But how much I can take the Or Pnimi, the inner light that I'm taking inside of me, is different to Or Chokhmah, because Chokhmah is talking about the tastes that I'm getting. Whereas Pnimi is a measurement of light. So let's say I love bananas. Okay? And I'm having a banana, and the taste I'm getting is I'm measuring to Chokhmah. Right? Because the taste I'm getting. But how much? Well, let's say I'm having 1 kilogram of bananas, and I'm getting some taste. Okay, so it's a measurement. Think of it as a measuring. One is measurement. I'm getting pleasure, a lot of pleasure from bananas. I'm having 1 kilogram of it. Okay, I can have 1 banana as well. I can put banana and chocolate spread as well. And get some extra chokhmah. Do you know what I'm saying? So one is what I'm receiving and the pleasure that's related to what I'm getting. The other one is the measurement.
Now, Barbara's asking, how can we build a bigger masach?
Well, we can't build a bigger masach. We can't do anything, can we? Why? Because we learned, all of us together, because we're smart students, in the previous lessons, we learned that there's a thing called there's none else besides Him. Besides Him. So what to connect with the Creator, to build that masach. Masach is our connection with the Creator. So how am I going to build it? Well, the Creator creates us and then gives us a dot in the heart. And then He says, listen, I gave you a little inclination to connect with me. And that dot in the heart is the beginning of the masach, actually. So He says, if you want to love me, and I'm right out here, you have to start loving others. So I brought you to a group of people who also have dots in the heart. And they also have this inclination of wanting to discover the Creator. Okay? So if you stick your head in there, actually let's do this with a different color. So if you stick your head in there and try through the study, through the working with the friends, through the books, the lessons, the activities, that everything we're doing inside this group, Okay? If you work towards wanting to come to me, then that would be really nice, because I'll see that you're making an effort in the group. And I know that you're a desire to receive and you cannot change your nature. However, when you make an effort to love others in order to come to know me, then I might just be nice enough to give you a hand and help you out. And that's called the light. Okay, this is why the light in the Torah corrects a person. So according to your effort, the Creator wants to help you out with His light, with His influence, but only in the group. Why? Because He can't show Himself, because if He did, we just learnt today that we'd feel shame, and He doesn't want us to feel shame. So He wants us to make an effort to change ourselves in an environment. And then by doing that, guess what happens? You split yourself into two. Who's asking the question?
That came from Barbara.
Barbara.
Build a bigger masak.
Yeah. So Barbara, when you first come to the group, you wanted, what did you say? Let's say I don't know, you say money, fame, knowledge. Let's say you had all these worldly desires, family, okay? And then you also have a dot in the heart, which is spiritual. So you're left in a dilemma. Okay? What do I get? What do I go for in life? Do I go for this worldly pleasure? Or do I go for spirituality? So this is already the Creator putting you in a dilemma, right? So then, by putting yourself into the environment, you get influenced by the environment to start choosing spirituality over things that you normally would be chasing in this world, like money, fame, knowledge. Then you start to discover all of a sudden that because the environment is influencing you, the friends, the books, it's not actually the friends, it's everything is the Creator is doing everything, but in the background, then you begin to have a masah, you begin to have some willpower. Okay, you say, you know, I'm just not going to go after this ridiculous stuff anymore. I want to get spiritual. So instead of singing, let's get physical, you start to sing, let's get spiritual. Then you begin to start building a masah. Why? Because you start to resist worldly stuff and you start to choose spiritual stuff. And those things you would not have done before. But because we're in the environment and the light is influencing us according to the effort, you get stronger and stronger and stronger. So where does that leave all of us? Well, it leaves all of us at the point of free choice. So when they say free choice is the choice of environment, those Kabbalists weren't kidding around, were they? Because when I'm in the corporeal environment, I'm going to want to chase corporeal stuff. if I'm in a spiritual environment, I want to chase spiritual stuff. So if I want to develop a masach, I need to be in an environment where I can develop that masach. If I want to develop my corporeal desires, I need to be in an environment where I'm developing my corporeal desires. See how everything we've learned is coming together? Like jigsaw puzzles, all the lessons we took. Yeah? And then, only then, once I'm kind of over this state, that's called crossing the mahsom. Whoops.
Now,
Once I cross the mahsom, which means that I get the first sensation of spirituality, right? When I'm born in the spiritual worlds, right? When I'm born in the spiritual worlds, I get my first masach. Then you can move forward and make your screen stronger. See how everything we learned is now coming together? How it's all connected. Yeah? See, all this stuff we're learning now about, seemingly it's all diagrams and stuff. Okay, about the light, the vessel. But all of this now begins to slowly, right, start to build something inside of us. And this is why, as we study in the group, this new shape, this new format of looking at things are going to happen, right? We're going to start looking at things as a desire, as a vessel, as the light, how much I'm taking. We're going to start to build this inside this very special environment. This is why we need each other. Otherwise, why would we?
Now, I've got some rather interesting questions here. I've got 3 total, but we're going to go in order. And these 2 are just directly in relation to what we were just speaking about. Now, Dilly's writes in that strength of the masak is also based on the size of the vessel or the desire, and the strength of the restriction of that vessel / desire for myself.
Come again? The what?
The strength of the masach.
The strength of the masach is dependent on my strength in rejecting the pleasure that I get from fulfillment. Okay?
Okay.
That's that. What's the second part of the question?
Well, that was that one.
Mm-hmm. And the strength of the restriction of that
Desire.
vessel desire for myself. Yes, it's always like that. The masach and the restriction always works in a way that I'm not receiving for myself. It's because that's the intention, that's the action, okay, of the intention to bestow. It's the initial action where I stop first, don't take anything, and then I start calculating.
Okay. Now, Louisa writes, does the Creator give because He knows that you need it? So why should I say no? I hear your reason, but it doesn't make sense to me anyway.
It won't make sense because we don't feel shame yet. Okay, it's a fair question.
I like that question, Louisa.
Who asked that?
Louisa asked that question.
Where's Louisa? Wave? Okay, there you go, yeah. See? First we need to feel what the Creator can give us. And then we need to feel how different we are from the Creator. And that difference of attributes makes us feel shame. Now, in our world, we don't feel that shame because, okay, the Creator wants to give, so give, give us, go kill yourself giving us, great, go for it, wonderful, why don't you give it to us? Because if He did it in such a way that was so open, we'd feel like dogs being thrown a bone at. right? So dogs don't have shame. Okay, let's say you're having a barbecue and you got your dog outside. You can throw it a bone and he'll love you for it, because animals don't have shame. Now imagine somebody doing a barbecue and you're there and they're throwing you a bone. You'd get pretty agitated, right? You say, what am I, a dog? You'd get agitated. Well, think of the same situation. Imagine the Creator having a really nice barbecue, and we love it because the dogs love that meat and bone, you know, they love to just lick that around. Imagine the Creator sitting back with a bottle of beer in his hand saying, you know what you want to get from me? There you go. Woo! Have a bone. You see, dogs don't feel shame, cats don't feel shame, so they're good with it. They go, great, send me another one. But if we were in that situation, imagine that. We'd just be furious, want to chop the Creator up. So the Creator says, well, we better not make them feel bad. So let's raise them a little bit, and then we can sort out our relationship. That's pretty much it, though. The Creator doesn't want us to feel like a dog being thrown a bone at. So we need to start understanding how His mentality works, what it means to give, to receive, how this relationship needs to happen between us. I understand what you're saying. It's a fair question. I say that too. Just give it to me. Why? What's the big deal? You want to bestow? Go ahead.
Make me happy. Make me happy.
Yeah.
I like that question because I think we've all had that question at one point in time.
That's right. Oh, we still do.
Sometimes it reoccurs. Yeah, it comes back every now and then.
It's okay. But we need to understand. We don't understand. We need to understand that we don't understand what it means to love others in such a way that you care so much that they won't get hurt. So the Creator is very sensitive with us, rightfully so. Yes, Hartwig, you're getting full of light today. What's on? What's going on?
So, first of all, sorry about all the questions. Yes, I missed you guys.
Go for it.
I'm going through withdrawal symptoms here. No, but my question is this regarding diagram number 3. It seems the way you drew it. Maybe I'm guessing it's not the case, but it seems like it's a reward and what's that system called? Reward and punishment system. It seems like it, but I'm guessing that is not the case as far as we've learned so far. So is it like a different mechanism, which is like a kind of you push the button and it happens, or the effort is the button type of thing? Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah, the point of the freedom of choice is your button.
Okay.
And that's the choice of environment. That's your only button, actually. It's the only button we have. Am I going to use the environment to get spiritual, or am I going to use the environment to get corporeal? It's the only choice we have, seriously.
So, something I would like to know, we still, like for me, I still have to use the corporeal environment for me to be here. You understand? I have to make money so I can buy internet.
Yeah. It's part of our correction. You need to do that. This is why we need to work during the day. It's not a joke, but the reason is it's very deep. It's a good point you're making. So why don't we just all, sit down and study spirituality? Why do we need to go through the burden of working and so on? But working and paying for this world is actually part of our spirituality. We don't understand that yet, because we need to understand that this world is working on bestowing principles. We're just seeing it we're just perceiving it from a receptive point of view, from our receiving end. But in other words, everything that we do here, when we're working, when we have to pay for everything, imagine paying for something is the same thing as having a masach. Okay, because I'm receiving as much as I have, as much as I can with my money. All right, so it's actually receiving with a masach.
Very important to work.
Yeah. So it's part of this corporeal world is part of our correction. And this is why we need to be integrated. And everybody, in fact, in the world is bestowing. The cab driver is driving you from A to B. The internet company is giving you your internet. You go to the bank, they give you your money. You go to your work job, somebody pays you for what you do. This whole world is working on bestowal. You go to a restaurant, they feed you. Right? So everything is actually bestowing. And we're receiving with respect to the masah that we have, the money that we have. Kesef, the word kesef, right? Hebrew, kesef, means money. Okay? Comes from the word kisuf, which means covering. And that's also masah. So we need to do what we need to do, okay? Here, we deal with corporeality as much as needs. Okay? So I take from corporeality according to the needs of a normal, regular life that I'm used to. So I have to go and work, pay my rent, look after the family, buy food. Okay, what can you do? That's how it is. But the rest, I give to spirituality. Do you know what I mean? That's the calculation we need to make. How much do I need in order for a normal life that I'm used to, that I saw in my family, that I'm used to as I grew up? Okay. Okay, I take that because that's what I was raised with, and that's okay for me. It's good. And then the rest, though, I'm pushing into spirituality. That's all. It gets a little tricky sometimes because the Creator tempts us with a lot of things in life, but that's fine. It's our learning curve. It's not a big deal. But if you want to keep it nice and simple, make a list of the things you need. And say, I need to work for these things because I need these for my life. That's how it is. Okay, I grew up with this. This is what I saw in my family. This is what I'm used to. This is the standard I grew up with. So yeah, I work for it. Beyond that, I need to give to spirituality. And then afterwards, you'll also see that a lot of the things you thought you need, you'll see that you didn't need it in the first place. Even though you felt you needed it, you grew up with it, and you thought it was a part of you, and you couldn't do without it, and then you'll see, oh my God, didn't need that at all. So this whole process that we go through in spirituality makes you feel like you need just one thing in life, the Creator, nothing else. But it's a learning curve. So in the meantime, yeah, we're going to get confused. We're going to run after things. We're going to chase things. We're going to be all over the shop for a little bit. But then you begin to feel that, you know, even the food and the water I'm drinking, I just need the Creator. All right? We'll get there. We'll get there, and we're going to love you and leave you. You guys have soaked me up today. What can I tell you? Now, next week, we'll carry on page 515. So make a note. We left off at 515 because I'll ask you next week as well. Where we leave off?
515, where expansion and departures?
Yep, expansion and departure of lights. That's where we're going to carry on. So we will see you guys all next week. Go over what we did today. It's very important. This lesson turned out to be quite nice, I must admit.
The questions were amazing, quite amazing.
So even I've learned a bit from this lesson, thanks to you guys. Okay, it's not a joke. The Kabbalists learn more from their students, really. So I must admit I grasped a lot from you guys today. So
also,
yeah,
Before we close out, I just wanted to say I hope to see everybody at the Zoom meeting on Thursday.
Absolutely. Now on Thursdays, as you know, there's a Zoom meeting. Don't miss out, because this is now how we're going to build the group. All right. The group is not just lessons. The group is when we start connecting, and this is the time when you're going to start making your masach stronger. Why? Because you're going to say, do I meet with the guys? Do I go out to the movies tonight? Okay. So it's this is how you guys are going to think you're going to build a masach. It's not going to be just like that. I mean, it's just like that, but it's only just like that after you make effort. Okay, so I'd go over this lesson again. Make sure you get your definitions right. Okay, and then afterwards, when you see the Rav teaching a lesson on Pticha, Tas, or whatever, you guys know what he's talking about. At least have some idea of what's going on. And see how this all came together really nice today. I'm very happy. So we're going to see you guys all next Tuesday, hopefully. And make sure you guys are with Anthony, Chris, or Johnny on Thursday nights. And then this will make the group stronger. And then finally we'll start towards September. We'll start now building roles, responsibilities, and so on, so we can all participate in the growth of our group, BB Euro Africa. All right? Okay. Have a great night, day, wherever you guys are. Okay. See you next Tuesday.
Good night. Bye-bye. All right. Okay, leave the meeting.
Tatiana, do you hear me? Yeah. Let's create a WhatsApp group. I mean, let's share the numbers, the phone numbers, but on a private message, not to be exposed. And then let's create a WhatsApp group, and then just sending some some hearts from here to there.